Welcome into Golden State Warriors today by Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, 5 moves that the Dubs could make this offseason to improve this roster so that they can get back to competing for NBA championships. And we're going to start off with a bang. Let's take a look at Kawhi Leonard right now. Could exercise his player option and opt out of his contract. And what the Warriors would be getting, one of the best two-way players in the history of the NBA, and still one of the best players in the league right now. A 2-time NBA champion and finals MVP, so the postseason experience is certainly there. And even this season, maybe it was down for Kawhi Leonard standards, but coming off an all-NBA caliber season, and there's no doubt this guy is still in his prime. This year, averaging nearly 25 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, north of 5 dimes per night as well. Still a really efficient and effective player too, shooting north of 50% from the floor. What would have to happen for this to be a realistic possibility for the Golden State Warriors to lure Kawhi Leonard to the Bay Area? Well, you want to root for the Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the NBA playoffs, because if the Mavs beat the Clippers and upset them in the first round 4-5 matchup, I think that the Clippers, Steve Ballmer, could look at that franchise, blow it up, decide to rebuild, and Kawhi Leonard could realize, I don't want to play here anymore. It's my goal to compete for more NBA championships, and that's back-to-back years where we have just flamed out and choked in the playoffs. So that's something to keep an eye out for. If you're a Warriors fan that wants Kawhi Leonard, root for the Dallas Mavericks in the first round. Here's my thing, though. Kawhi, he has some allegiance to the Clippers. Just bought a house in the Los Angeles area. He went to San Diego State, is from that area as well, so he really likes the Southern California area. Does he want to go upstate north and play for the Dubs? Kawhi Leonard, even at this point of his NBA career, is also going to be very expensive and probably demand somewhat close to, or if not, a max contract. The whole philosophy here for Bob Myers and the Warriors: capitalize on Steph Curry's prime. 33 years old, he's in the back half of his career, still playing like an NBA MVP, and you could probably make the argument that Steph Curry right now is the best player in the league. You got to compete for NBA championships right now in this current window and maximize, take advantage of Steph Curry still playing at the rate that he is playing at. Bringing in Kawhi Leonard would allow you to do just that. So for my Dubs homies watching right now, do you think Kawhi Leonard would be a fit on the Golden State Warriors next season and beyond? Get into the comments, get your votes in, type Y for yes, type N for no. Kawhi Leonard, still an elite player in this league. You find a way to make him work. He could play the small forward position. Klay Thompson could play a lot of 2. Steph Curry at the 1. James Wiseman at the 5. You figure out what to do at the 4 spot, but Kawhi Leonard, I think, would fit on this roster. Here's something to keep an eye on too, with not just this Kawhi Leonard possible move, but every move that the Warriors make this upcoming offseason that would take financial commitments. Beware of the luxury tax as well as the salary cap. Steph Curry, due for a contract extension because his contract is up after this upcoming season. He's going to get paid. Klay Thompson's still getting paid. So is Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins. There would have to be a lot of salary cap maneuvering in order to bring a player in like Kawhi Leonard, who has the price tag that he does. Let's transition on to Lonzo Ball. He's a restricted free agent, so if the Pelicans don't want to sign him to a long-term deal, he will hit the open market. If another team offers him a contract, the Pelicans will be able to match. He was reportedly in trade deadline discussions, so I think that tells me that the Pelicans are willing to at least let him go because they were exploring that leading up to the NBA trade deadline. And back at that time, former Warrior who won a championship with the Dubs, Andrew Bogut, said the Warriors declined a Kelly Oubre for Lonzo Ball swap. I like Lonzo Ball. He's still young. He's coming off the best shooting season of his career. I like what he did. Zion Williamson was playing a lot of point guard for New Orleans. I think Ball figures to be a better point guard option than a 2 or 3 like he was playing under Stan Van Gundy. And this year he was pretty good. The 3-point percentage continuing to climb and get better as he moves forward in his NBA career. He was hovering around 40% from distance. That number did end up being a little less than 38%. But Lonzo Ball, I like him because he's still only 23 years old. He's continuing to get better and improve, especially from the outside. he was ripped because that shooting form is really funky coming from the side pocket. It's gotten better and better, though. And he could also be a creative passer and dynamic player on this Warriors roster. You let him play the one with the vision that he has, especially in that especially on the fast break, and then you have Steph Curry play the two, Klay Thompson at the three. I think Lonzo Ball would fit seamlessly into this Warriors lineup, and I think he's also somewhat affordable. Maybe he demands a contract somewhere in the range of $15 to $20 million. So what is your level of interest in Lonzo Ball on the Warriors? Scale it from 1 to 10 for me in the comment section below. 1 being not interested in Lonzo Ball whatsoever, 10 being I am all in on Lonzo Ball. Get your votes in the comment section below. Warriors Today is made possible thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. You looking to lay some wagers down on the NBA playoffs? You can do so with the best deal out there of any sportsbook. You go to chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125 and you get a 125% deposit bonus. You can use that in any state across America or whatever country you are watching from right now. Let's take a look at some odds, focusing on the Eastern Conference right now. Odds to win the East if you use that promo code and that link at the bottom of your screen. Nets minus 125, the favorites right now. Bucks at plus 225. 76ers at plus 300. How about the Atlanta Hawks at plus 2,000 if you really want some value there, and the Miami Heat at plus 2,800. Let's switch gears to the Western Conference. Lakers, even though they lost Game 1 as we record this on Tuesday, still the favorites in the West at plus 185. Utah Jazz also lost in Game 1 to the Memphis Grizzlies at plus 325. The Clippers at plus 350. The Suns at plus 450. And the Mavericks. All of you are rooting for the Mavericks if you want Kawhi Leonard. You want to put some lettuce down? Plus 1,000 to win the Western Conference for the Dallas Mavericks. Chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. You get a 125% deposit bonus, meaning if you deposit $100 in your account, you get $225 of basically free money. Let's continue to look at some possible offseason moves for the Warriors. Spencer Dinwiddie, a guy who I really like and producer Perry Randall really likes because he's had him on his podcast. Spencer Dinwiddie has a player option. He has voiced his frustrations with the Brooklyn Nets over time, and I don't think he fits into a team that has Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. There's only one basketball, and Spencer Dinwiddie, he can get buckets. The Nets have also explored possible Spencer Dinwiddie deals, and there were some reports surfacing leading up to the NBA trade deadline that the Nets were interested in swapping him for Kelly Oubre, but the Warriors wanted a player back who could play this year, but Spencer Dinwiddie coming off a partially torn ACL. Here's what he did 2 years ago. He can start, he can come off the bench, and he can certainly fill up the scoring column. 2 years ago, averaged more than 20 points per game. He shot an efficient nearly 42% from the floor. I like his ability to get his own off the dribble, off the catch and shoot as well, but he can also dish it too. And when you look at his possible fit on the Warriors, this is a guy who can both start in the backcourt along Steph Curry, but if you want a player to come in off the bench and just go on a heater, and you really need a Lou Williams type of six-man who can score in bunches, Spencer Dinwiddie can certainly fill that role, and I think he would fit nicely in this lineup playing in the backcourt along Steph Curry. So would you sign Spencer Dinwiddie, one of the best names across the NBA as well? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Be sure to let me know what you think about if the Warriors should sign Spencer Dinwiddie in the comment section down below. Want to get to a polarizing figure right now, and that is Andrew Wiggins. So he certainly ended the season well after his season got off to somewhat of a rocky start. But there's always going to be a stigma around Andrew Wiggins that will follow him and haunt him forever. Why is that? Because he's not ever going to live up to the expectations of being that number one pick out of Kansas. I've always said Andrew Wiggins is overpaid but somewhat underrated. I think he gives you a Harrison Barnes type of player where he can 3-and-D ya. He can be a really good athlete, and he can contribute on both ends of the floor. What's the big problem with Andrew Wiggins? He's not worth the price tag that you're seeing on your screen right now. His contract for next season, $31.5 million. The season after that, before he becomes a free agent, $33.5 million. So the thought process here, maybe Golden State will look to trade him to free up money. But also a team philosophy thing that Bob Myers is looking at, general manager of the Warriors. He said in his postseason press conference, the Warriors are looking to bring in veteran players. So how about this trade idea that includes a veteran player, and also the financial commitments for both the Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers would work in this instance? Would you make this deal? Trading Andrew Wiggins to the team that drafted him number 1 overall, to the Cleveland Cavaliers, in exchange for Kevin Love. Bob Myers wants veteran players so that the Warriors can get back to competing for championships this upcoming season to capitalize on Steph Curry's prime. They could also use some front court depth. And have you seen how miserable Kevin Love was this past year with the Cleveland Cavaliers? It looked like he wanted to walk away from basketball and have no part of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's why I think this deal could potentially happen. Would you make it? Type 1 for yes or type 2 for no. If you got to this point in the video, hopefully you really like what you're seeing here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. And I want to say thank you to everybody out there watching, especially those of you who have subscribed, because we have surpassed 17,000 subscribers. That was our goal this week. We hit it thanks to all of you. And if you haven't subscribed and you're wondering, hey, should I? We're going to continue to cover the Warriors all offseason long, bringing you draft and free agent coverage. And this is what I want you to do right now. We already got past 17,000 subscribers. Share this video. Retweet us on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Let your Dubs friends know what we're doing here. And lastly, shout out to the Philippines. We look at the analytics and we see that on Warriors Today, a lot of people are tuned in from the Philippines. So thanks to all of you and our international audience, especially from the Philippines, for tuning out and rocking out with us. Last player I want to touch on, Kelly Oubre Jr. His season was cut short by a wrist injury, and you got to see in a small sample size what he's capable of, even though his season was somewhat up and down. Warriors obviously brought Kelly Oubre in before the season in November, and he voiced to Bob Myers after that Grizzlies loss that he does want to return. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. This past year, I'd say Kelly Oubre was solid. I mean, he wasn't otherworldly. He was pretty solid, and that's about it. Maybe he's a future starter. Maybe he comes in off the bench once Klay Thompson comes back. 15.5 points, about 6 rebounds, shot a respectable nearly 44% from the field, and his three-point percentage wasn't great by any means, and he certainly wasn't as good as he was last year, which I think is what the Warriors were expecting. Could there be a sign and trade in the works? That's what Bleacher Report threw out there, and they proposed this trade idea. It would have to be a sign and trade because Kelly Oubre is going to be an unrestricted free agent. In this deal proposed by Bleacher Report, the Mavericks get Kelly Oubre to get Luka Doncic, another playmaker, and what do the Warriors get? The aforementioned veteran pieces that provide depth for this team and quality playoff experience. Warriors get Dwight Powell as well as Dorian Finney-Smith. If you're not familiar with these guys, this is what they bring to the table. Dwight Powell, Dorian Finney-Smith, capable players, pretty solid players, really good depth pieces, and veteran guys who kind of give this team an edge that is one of the youngest teams in the NBA. Dwight Powell this year, hey, his numbers not going to pop off the screen, averaging about 6 points per game, but he does so many things well and can be an energizer-type player. Dorian Finney-Smith, on the other hand, gives you a little bit more of a scoring option, but both guys, when you look at the field goal percentages, very efficient given their respective positions. So for Warriors fans watching right now, do you want Kelly Oubre Jr. back? He could demand $15 to $20+ million, or there could be another team across the NBA that is willing to pay him that. So factor that in when you make this decision and put your votes in. Type B for yes, I want him back, or type W for let him walk.